Sitting alone waiting. That's what it feels like without a purpose. It's how I felt for a majority of my life. Up until about a year ago, when I felt a deeper meaning was about to take place in my life. It's when I was awakened to the truth of this world. But to tell this story, I have to start at the beginning. When I was born, I was put into foster care about a year afterwards. Um, my first foster home was an abusive foster home, and they, I was taken from there at around the age of 3. Afterwards, I was taken to this other family. I stayed with them for about a year, and it was very nice living with them. But eventually I got moved to my permanent foster family, who would adopt me within the next 2 years. When I turned 4, I moved in with my adoptive parent. Her name is Paige. I call her Mom. And I lived in an Episcopalian home, which was Christianity. It's another branch off of Catholicism. So I grew up in that foster home, and there would be times where we would watch movies and whatnot. And then, for the most part, I had a pretty normal childhood, aside from being adopted and everything. But because of events that happened when I was born, I had a lot of struggle in my life that I had to overcome. I want to say I was 11 years old, we watched this movie. I have no memory of what this movie was. But I do remember one of the main bases in the movie was about reading auras and everything being energy. That was what the movie was about. So in one of the scenes in the movie, they tell the person to put their fingers close together and look in the middle, right? Look at the energy transferring from each finger to the other. And that's a part of your auric view in the movie. Eventually in the movie, they were able to tell you that you can send energy out and also receive the energy, and if everyone in the world is able to amplify that, it'll bring us all closer together and bring us to a more awakening state. So, sorry, that was weird. Okay, so what ended up happening was next Sunday, because I think we might have watched that on a Friday. The following Sunday, I went to church and I decided to start looking at my pastor. And not at her while she's reading the sermon, but around her while she was reading the sermon. And I noticed there was like a little orb thingy that kept expanding as she was talking about Jesus. It was white. And I never brought that up to anyone because I thought, it probably does not mean anything. Well, I'm going to skip ahead a few more years. This was about 2 years ago. I was in high school. I was in junior year of high school, and I was working with this lady, and she wanted to decide to make this cult type thing, and she told me that I was a white warlock, and one of my powers or gifts was to read auras and communicate with the divine and everything. I didn't believe her because, I thought she was crazy. But as I look back on these events of my life, each one was to implant a little seed. So eventually, by a year later, after I met this lady at my work, I would be awakened to the truth and the fulfillment of my life. So that brings me to last year, second semester of senior year, when I was supposed to be in a supervised study hall so that I could get credits. But I felt like with that supervised study hall, I was not going to get as far as I probably could if I didn't have the supervised study hall. So I decided to change and become a TA. I was going to try TAing for one of my cooking teachers from the semester before, but that didn't work out. So I TA'd for the librarians because I had a connection with them also. While I was TAing for the librarians, there was this lady. I call her my spiritual mom. This is our 5th lifetime together, and in the 4 before this lifetime, she was my biological mother. And so she has a very important, she's very important to me in my life because one of the main reasons that I met her was to be awakened, but there's more behind it. I still talk to her every day, but her name is Denise Fields. And within the first few weeks, she started talking to me about like how she opened her third eye and how she could read auras and everything. And I understood what she meant by that, but I didn't believe it 100%. And eventually she started talking to me more and more, and one day she decided to tell me to start looking for signs that the angels were trying to get in contact with me, and I needed to start looking for signs from the universe. This was a Friday, she told me. The very next day, I decided to go downstairs and make an egg. Now, you see, I've never been able to make an egg fully circular, so I wanted to try to do that this time. And when I went to go do that and I flipped it, it split down the center in the yin-yang symbol. And I thought, okay, that's just a coincidence, but I thought it was cool, so I took a picture of it anyway. Well, a few more minutes go by after I eat my food, and my friend Tanner hits me up and asks me if I want to help him clean out his car for prom. And I'm like, sure, why not? I got nothing better to do. So as we were cleaning out his car, I found a ring on the floor, and there was a yin-yang symbol in the ring also. Eventually, I got sent to rehab for issues I would prefer not to discuss until later. But I was sent to rehab, and I had a bunch more spiritual awakenings in there. I started paying more attention to my dreams while I was there and seeing the deeper meaning behind the dreams. There's been plenty of times I have predicted what would happen because of those dreams. And, overall, my main reason why my spiritual awakening happened was because had I not been told to look for the symbols and had Denise not had her divine assignment, I wouldn't have even known where to start. Sure, every moment in my life was leading up to me being awakened, but without her being in contact and already being awakened to the divine assignment, I would not be able to meet her and have my divine mission and be enlightened to the truth of this world, which is honestly what we all need to start doing. We're all here for the same reason, to learn and grow. And we're all here because we chose to be here. And without each other helping each other, we're not going to do anything, guys. Like, we all need to enlighten each other. And we all need to wake up. Because without being awakened, we're just sitting alone waiting. And if we're sitting alone waiting, we don't have a purpose in our life. So go out and find your purpose. Start looking for symbols, signs, whatever connects to you. There's numbers you can look at. I look at angel numbers all the time. When I noticed a synchronicity in numbers, I look it up on my phone right away to see what the meaning behind it was. And I'll look it up as angel number blank meaning. Insert the number in the blank spot. There's symbols that will show up to you. There's people that are in your life right now that you may not have known you needed, but you're going to need them eventually. And everyone in your life you're meant to meet because you all created your divine mission together before coming down here. We all forgot about it because we needed to learn, we needed to grow and develop. But once we're able to grow and develop, we'll all enlighten each other and just create a magnificent amount of energy on this earth, bunch of knowledge and technology that none of us have ever even thought of before. And it'll be a much happier place to live as soon as we enlighten each other. I know that was deep, guys, but if I'm able to help you somehow, leave a like. And if you got something out of this, please subscribe because I'll be posting more. That's all I got, so see you guys.